You spent 40 years saving up, maxing out the 401k, skipping the fancy vacations, building that nest egg brick by brick. And then you retire, and nobody hands you a paycheck anymore. So here's the scary part. Nobody really prepares you for. How do you actually pay yourself from that pile of money in a tax-efficient manner so it lasts as long as you do? Look, there's no single right answer, but here's the good news. There are several proven ways to do this. And by the end of today, you're going to know exactly which camp you fall into. So let's dig in. But first, welcome to your retirement guide. I'm George Jameson, CFP, RICP, and founder of Capital Wealth Group in Columbia, South Carolina, a fee-only firm. We do ongoing retirement planning and investment management, plus one-time financial plans for do-it-yourselfers. So today's framework comes from Dr. Wade Pfau. He's one of the sharpest minds out there on retirement income planning. And in his work, he boils everything down to two big philosophies. The first one, he calls it probability-based. And in plain English, that just means you trust the market. You believe that over the long haul, a good diversified portfolio is going to grow and take care of you. The second philosophy is safety first. And this one's for the folks who say, you know what? I don't want to hope the market cooperates. I want my essential bills covered, guaranteed, no matter what. Now, here's the thing. Each of those two philosophies has a variation. So 2 times 2 gives us 4 strategies. Let's walk through all of them together. So number 1, the pure probability-based approach. This is the classic. You build a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds, and you pull your income out based on total return. This is where things like the 4% rule and the guardrails withdrawal strategy live. And honestly, this is where most of my clients land. I'd say 90% of the people I work with prefer some version of the probability-based approach. Now, within that, they usually split into 2 flavors. Some folks like a total return approach, where you have a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds, you rebalance and withdraw as you go. That one's really geared toward maximum growth. Now, others may prefer a dividend or income-focused strategy because they love seeing that cash actually get produced by the portfolio. A lot of retirees just feel better watching the income roll in. Both can work. They're just built for slightly different goals. But if you go this route, 3 things have to be true. Number 1, you keep your withdrawal rate reasonable, and you stay flexible when the market's down. Number 2, you're actually diversified, a real mix of stocks and bonds. And then number 3, and this is the big one, you don't panic and sell at the bottom. You stick to the plan. Now on to number 2 of the probability-based. Same idea, but with a safety net. You still got that diversified portfolio to do the heavy lifting, but you add a backstop for peace of mind. Pfau's version adds an indexed annuity or a fixed annuity with a lifetime income rider. Basically, a valve you can turn on later in retirement if your portfolio doesn't grow the way you'd hoped. Now, here's where I have to be straight with you. Be careful with annuities. Some get sold as indexed annuities, thinking they'll get stock market returns with 0 risk. That's not reality. In my experience, index annuities behave a lot more like a bond alternative than the stock market. Now, there's also a no annuity version of this too. Instead of an annuity, you just set aside 2 to 3 or even 4 years of cash reserves in things like CDs, money markets, or short-term government bonds. So when a bear market hits, and maybe it takes down your stocks and your corporate bonds, you spend from that cash cushion instead of selling your stocks and bonds at a loss. It's simple and effective. All right, now on to strategy number 3. This is our first safety first approach. This is for the person who lies awake at night worrying about the market and their money. If that's you, you'd rather just know your essentials are covered, period. So you hand some of that risk over to an insurance company, usually through a SPIA. That stands for a single premium immediate annuity, or even a fixed annuity with an income rider. And that creates a guaranteed income floor sitting right on top of your Social Security. Here's a quick example. Say a couple needs $100,000 a year, and 50 of that comes from your Social Security. So you've got a $50,000 gap to cover your essential expenses. With this strategy, they'd use a chunk of their savings to buy that $50,000 in guaranteed lifetime income. And now it doesn't matter what the market does. The essentials are handled. So what's the trade-off? You're handing over a big lump sum, and most of these payments won't adjust for inflation. A lot of folks just don't want to give up that much control. But the peace of mind is real for the right person. And that brings us to number 4, the bucket strategy, sometimes called time segmentation. Here's how it works. You use bond ladders, individual bonds usually backed by the US government, to cover your income for the next several years. Meanwhile, your growth portfolio sits back and does its thing for the long term. Then in the good years, you refill buckets from that growth. It can be clever, and it helps you ride out a downturn without touching your stocks. This one's for folks who don't love annuities, but also don't want to lean entirely on the market. My honest take, it can work, but it's the fiddliest of the bunch. You've got to decide how long your ladder should be, and then figure out when to sell stocks to buy more bonds. And that's exactly where emotions can trip you up. So there you have it, 4 proven income strategies that can work. But here's what I really want you to hear. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. The safety first strategies genuinely do make sense for a lot of conservative investors. But you have to be careful when someone's selling you an annuity, because once you buy one, you're often stuck with it for the long term. I've sat across from too many people who had real regrets because they didn't fully understand what they had bought. And due to the high surrender fees, there really wasn't much we could do. So do your homework, get unbiased advice, and don't ever let yourself be pressured. Because the best retirement income plan isn't the fanciest one. It's the one you actually understand and can stick with for the rest of your life. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me on your retirement guide. Again, I'm George Jameson, founder of Capital Wealth Group, a fee-only firm in Columbia, South Carolina. We offer ongoing planning and investment management, plus one-time financial plans if you'd rather do it yourself. And if you'd like to figure out which of these 4 strategies fits you, I'd love to help. Head over to capitalwealthgroupsc.com and schedule a free consultation. That's capitalwealthgroupsc.com. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Have a great day.